So you've got your heart and your budget set on spending 400 odd grand on a new Ferrari, but the wife, or maybe the husband, says it's got to be a bit more practical than the average supercar. Well, with its back seat and its folding hardtop, the California T is the obvious choice, but maybe it hasn't got quite enough in the excitement stakes. Well, Ferrari's got an answer for that too. It's called the HS package, and it's available as an option on all Californias. It adds a bit more handling ability, it's got a noisier exhaust, and even a bit more visual pizzazz. And we've come to the Italian Riviera to give it a blast. So what does HS stand for? Well, HS is Handling Speciale, which is kind of a weird amalgam of English and Italian. That means it's an extra package that's got a few things that makes the California T a bit more special. The HS is obviously based on any normal California T, the most affordable Ferrari, which can be yours for only $410,000. And the HS package adds about another 16 grand to that. Ferrari describes the standard California as a Grand Tourer rather than an out-and-out sports car, but then that's by Ferrari's standards. With its 3.9 litre twin-turbo V8, it's got 412 kilowatts of power, will hit 100 kilometres per hour in 3.6 seconds and do 316 kilometres per hour flat out. So even in standard form, the California T isn't exactly slow. The Handling Speciale package doesn't add any more power, so don't expect any more actual performance. So what we've got is stiffened suspension. Both the front springs and the rear springs are harder. That improves the handling, and it gives you less body roll through the corners, which is a good thing. And if you can hear what I'm doing, they've also improved the engine note, because when Ferrari went to twin turbos in the California and made it the California T, the turbos themselves kind of muted the noise a bit. So Ferrari's done a lot of work on improving that exhaust note. There's a new muffler at the back, and that's said to increase the high frequency noises. So instead of a purr or a growl, you get something a bit more special. There's no doubt it sounds pretty impressive, but if you're looking for that old Ferrari wailing howl at high revs, it doesn't quite get there. Performance though is more than ample, with an especially addictive ability to accelerate hard from low to middling revs. And they've also played with the gear shift. Up shifts are 30% quicker, down shifts in the twin clutch gearbox are about 40% quicker. Makes for a much more sporty character. Old Ferraris, they used to be revvers. Now you've got something that works well at lower revs, it pulls hard, but it still reaches all the way to about a 7.5 grand red line. The changes to the suspension are even more welcome. Springs are stiffer front and back, the magnetic active dampers have been retuned, and the traction control finessed. The result is much flatter handling, with less body roll and a simply astonishing ability to power out of tighter corners. The HS is no rocky riding racetrack special either. While the ride is firm, it's still comfortable enough to soak up some pretty bad bumps and potholes, and if you prefer to cruise instead of hustle, it certainly doesn't rattle the teeth fillings. The seats are still the same as the standard California T, which means there's not a huge amount of lateral support, nothing exactly you'd find on a racetrack for sure, but hey, it's still a GT cruiser in some respects, so that's not such a bad thing. Like any Ferrari, you've got plenty of stuff to play with. The steering wheel, it contains all the controls you need. There's the Manettino, which gives the choice between a comfort setting, sport, or you can go full ECS off if you really want to have a crack. And of course, it's a convertible. If you want, you flip the roof back, you've got full open air motoring. Life doesn't really come much better than this. So the California T is, as always, a pretty useful package. Yes, it's got a back seat in which you can even fit baby seats, but an adult wouldn't want to spend too much time there. The boot is okay with the roof up, but pretty cramped with the hardtop stowed away out back. It's all about the noise, the more hardcore ride and flatter handling, but hey, you can still just flip the lid back, put the gearbox in auto mode and go for a cruise. The California T HS melds the best of both worlds, and that's not a bad place to be.